Today we're going to do 5-2 more, which is just an extension of Friday's lesson. So we're going to go through and look at what you're going to be expected to do, and we'll talk about how to do each section, which you should already know how. And we are going to do the entire front and back since you have the whole class period, okay? All right, so at the top it says write an equation. To write an equation, what two pieces of information do you need? An M and a B. Did they give you an M? Yes, so I need an M, which is -3. I also need a B. Okay, can you see the y-intercept right here at 1? Yes, so obviously that's your y-intercept, it's 1. Now, if you couldn't see it because you didn't have a graph, then you would have to plug in for y equals mx plus b, plug in this for m, plug in this for x, and this for y. Yes? But you already saw it. So your answer is y equals 3x plus 1. So that's how they're going to do those. On 4 through 9, they gave you a slope and a point. You don't have a graph, so you will have to plug in for y equals mx plus b. Yes? Do y'all want to do one together? Just to refresh your memory? Okay, so let's do number 4. This is going to be my, I'm going to use a different color. Huh? Oh, I did forget my negative. Thank you. Okay, this is going to be my x, this is going to be my y, and that's obviously my slope. So I'd come over here and I'd write y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to plug in 9 for y. So 9 equals my slope, which is 4, times x, which is 1, plus b. So I have 9 equals 4 plus b. I would subtract 4, and 9 minus 4 is 5, yes? So I have an m of 4 and a b of 5. So my equation is y equals 4x plus 5. So there is no trick to those. You're going to have to do those exactly how we just did these. But there is a trick when they give you 2 points. Okay, and there's a button in your calculator called stat. So I want you to go to the back of your notes from Friday, and we're going to write this down. This only works if you have 2 coordinates. So if they give you 1 coordinate and 1 slope, this does not work. So right, this only works when I have 2 coordinates. 2 or more. You can have as many as you want, but you have to have 2. And it is called your stat button. So let's just write the step down first, and then we'll go practice it in our calculator. The stat button allows you to input coordinates or tables into it. What you're going to, you need at least 2 coordinates. You're going to go to stat, and then you're going to choose option 1, which is called edit. Write the steps down first, guys, and then we'll go put it in our calculator. The L1 is called list 1. That's where you're going to input your x's. So you're going to put your first x and your second x. And then you're going to go over to L2. What do y'all think that is? Your list 2. What are you going to put? Your y's. So obviously this x goes with this y. This x goes with this y. And they're across from each other. Once you have at least 2 coordinates in, and you put them into your edit and you have them in, you go back to stat, and then you tab over to calc. Okay, once you're there, you're going to choose option 4, which is the linear option. And then you're just going to hit enter until it gives you the answer. I don't know how many times it is. It might be 3 or 4. You're just going to hit enter. And I'm just going to put ... because you're just going to keep hitting enter until it gives you the answer. Okay? And that's the steps. It's actually really easy. It's actually much easier than having to solve for slope, solve for b. It's going to give you the m and the b. Okay? So let's go practice it by doing number, you want to do number 10? Did they give us 2 points? Yes, they did. So we're going to do number 10. So we're going to follow the steps that we wrote down, okay? All right, so where do I go in my calculator? Stat. So everybody find the stat button. It's right here below delete. Everybody found it? You're going to choose which option? Edit, number 1. Now, notice how I have stuff in because I've been using it. So I want to show y'all how to clear it out. You can't just hit clear. Look, nothing happens. You have to go up to the list where it says L2 and hit clear. Then just hit down, and it will clear it out. If you hit delete, I'm going to show y'all what happens because it's bad, okay? But like if I go up, I want to hit clear and then go down. Watch what happens if I hit delete. The whole list is gone and it will no longer work, okay? So that's not a good thing. To fix it, you go back to stat, and you hit setup and just hit enter and it should be back. So stat edit, it should be L1, L2, L3, L4. Okay, so don't delete your list. You cannot use L2, L3. It has to be L1 and L2. Everybody got it? All right, so for L1, what are we going to put in? Anybody? The x's. So what is the first x for, what number are we doing, number 10? -2. So you type in -2 and then you have to hit enter for it to be put there. Can you look right here what you wrote? Where do we go? Stat edit, yes? Okay, so I put in my first x. Now what's my other x? 3. Hit enter. Ask your neighbor, guys, if you need help. Y'all help each other. So now we're going to go to L2 and put the y's. But we have to put the ones that go with the x's. So what y went with -2? 3. So I push 3 and I hit enter. Okay, now I go down to when x was 3, what was y? -2. So now that my coordinates are in, it's basically like making a table, right? Now that my coordinates are in, I go back and follow the directions we wrote down. So what did we write? Push stat again. Now what does it say? Arrow over to calc. Now look at the options because you're not going to, you might memorize it, but look at them. Which one says linear?
4.
Option 4. And look at the form. Do you see what it says? AX plus B, which is MX plus B. I don't know why the calculator calls it A, but they do. So that's the option you choose. So just push number 4, and this screen is going to pop up. Did everybody find the screen? You're going to hit enter until it goes to calculate. That's where you'll get the answer. So you just hit enter, and it just moves you down to calculate. Hit enter again, and that's your answer. That's your M, your slope. That's your B, your y-intercept. Okay, so my answer to number 10 is y equals -1x plus 1. You need to make sure that you wrote these steps down until you have them memorized. You're not going to remember them this evening if you didn't write them down. Okay, you've got to do it enough times so it gets in your brain. All right, do y'all want to do one more in stat together? All right, let's do number 13. When does stat work? When you have 2 coordinates. All right, so everybody clear out your screen. We're going to do number 13. So where do I go? Stat, edit. How do I clear out my list? Go up to the list, hit clear, and then push the down arrow. Okay, same thing for L1. And now we're going to go put in our new coordinates. So my first x value is 1. So you have to hit 1, enter. My next x coordinate is what? So I hit -3, enter. Now I go over to the L2, which is for the y's. When x is 1, y is 3, so I push 3, enter. And then when x is -3, y is -5. So at -5, enter. Does everybody have them in? Okay, now what do I push? Stat, tab over to calc, because we want it to calculate for us. Which option is linear? 4, and then just hit enter until it gives you the answer. Now, the only negative to stat is it's always going to give you your answers in decimals. It's never going to give you fractions. Okay, so if you need it as a fraction and it's not multiple choice, you probably want to go back to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 for slope, and then plug in to find the y-intercept. You can do it either way. Then you didn't do something right. Okay, so your answer is y equals 2x plus 1. So the best things you can check, there's another thing that could be wrong. So everybody look, if you hit stat, no, it's not that. If you, this is what something else will mess up. If your y equals, everybody go back to y equals. Do you see the plot 1, plot 2, plot 3 at the top? If those are highlighted in black, nothing's going to work in your graphing system in your calculator. So like, see right here, if I accidentally highlight that and it's black, now my stat's not going to work and my y equals button to solve stuff is not going to work. Okay, so make sure that those are always not highlighted. That's one thing you can check. Another thing you can check when you hit stat edit, it has to be L1, L2. If it's L2, L3, it's not going to work. The other thing that's not going to work is if you accidentally hit a subtraction sign instead of a negative sign. Okay? So those are things you can check. And if your calculator's still acting crazy, reset it. 2 plus 7, 1, 2. It'll put it back to its factory settings, and then you can go from there. Okay? The other cool thing is on your EOC, your STAR test, there is a TI-84 calculator on your screen. You can hit Tools, hit Calculator, and this calculator will pop up. So if your calculator starts acting crazy, you can use the one on the computer. You just have to click each button, like stat. I would click it with my mouse. Make sense? Yes or no? Okay. All right, so that's how you use stat. If you have more questions about that when you do your assignment, then you can individually ask me, but I kind of want to move on just to get going. On 19 through 24, it says write an equation of the line that passed through each intercept. Isn't an intercept a point? So could I say the x-intercept is -3? So that's -3, 0. What is this intercept? The y-intercept, how would I write that as a coordinate? 0, comma. Can I now use stat to write an equation for that? Could I just do slope formula and then there's my b? So it's totally up to you. Do you want to use stat or do you want to do slope intercept? It does not matter to me. Either way will work. I would love for y'all to get familiar with your stat button. We're going to use it the rest of the year. Stat, this is the cool thing, and I'm going to show y'all if y'all look at this screen. So stat calc will do linear equations. It will do quadratic equations. So when we get to quadratic equations, it's going to do those. It will also do option 10, which is exponential equations. And those are the 3 types of like equations we learn in algebra. Linear, which I told you is right now, that's what we're learning, straight lines. Quadratic or like U's, like this. It'll do those. And then it'll do exponential, where it like is going like this and then it skyrockets up or down. So it's going to do all of those. So we're going to be using stat a lot in here. So I would like y'all to get familiar with it today. Okay? Not to mention it's easy. All right, on the back, you're going to do the exact same thing. Now, again, on number 4, 5, and 6, will stat work? No, you need 2 coordinates, so don't worry about using stat here. You go back to the way I taught you where you solve for the b, okay? But on 7 through 15, will stat work? Yes, because they gave you 2 coordinates. Same thing with 16 through 19, they gave you intercepts, so make your 2 coordinates, and then you can use stat. And then 2021, they're making you solve some equations or write some equations, okay? All right, any questions? Are y'all good? All right, you may start.